You learn to walk. You learn to recognize your mother's face in a crowd of 1,000 others. You figured out, from nothing, that the sounds coming out of people's mouths were language, and you cracked the code well enough to start speaking it. You did all of that before your 3rd birthday. The hardest learning any human ever does, you did as a baby, and you don't remember a single second of it. Think about how strange that is. Your first steps, your first word, the first time you saw snow, or tasted sugar, or were held by someone who loved you. Thousands of days, roughly the first 1,000 days of your life, completely, totally gone. A blank reel where your earliest self should be. For over 100 years, everyone assumed the answer was simple. A baby's brain is too undeveloped to record anything. The tape wasn't rolling yet. But in 2025, scientists put babies inside a brain scanner and proved that idea wrong. The tape was rolling. Your brain did record it, which means the real mystery isn't why your brain failed to save those memories. It's something far stranger, where they went, this blank spot even has a name. Psychologists call it infantile amnesia, the universal human inability to remember almost anything from before the age of about 3 or 4. Every person you've ever met has it. It's one of the most reliable facts about the human mind. And for a century, the textbook explanation was a broken recorder theory. The hippocampus, the part of your brain that stamps experiences into long-term memory, is still half-built in infancy, so it simply can't form lasting memories. No recorder, no recording. Case closed. Except that explanation just collapsed. And what's replacing it suggests your baby memories might not be erased at all. They might still be in there. Let's get into it.in March 2025. A team led by neuroscientist Nick Turk-Brown at Yale published a study in the journal Science that did something almost nobody had managed before. They scanned the brains of awake babies inside an fMRI machine. If you know anything about babies, you know how absurd that is. fMRI requires you to lie perfectly still and follow instructions. Babies do neither. The team spent years just figuring out how to keep infants calm and motionless enough to get a clean signal. Once they could, they ran a simple test. They showed each baby a new image, a face, an object, a scene, while watching the hippocampus light up. Then, later, they showed that image again, mixing with new ones, and measured one thing babies can't fake: how long they stared. Because here's a quirk of how babies work. When a baby recognizes something, they look at it longer. Staring is a baby's way of saying, "I know you." And the results were stunning. The babies whose hippocampus lit up more when they first saw an image were the same babies who later stared at that image longer when it came back. In other words, the harder their memory center fired during the experience, the more clearly they remembered it afterward. That's not a brain that can't record. That's a brain recording. The hippocampus was doing exactly the job everyone assumed it couldn't do yet. There was a catch. This kicked in clearly around 1 year old, in the back portion of the hippocampus. But it shattered the 100-year-old assumption. Babies are not blank tapes. By around their first birthday, they are forming genuine memories of specific events. So if the recorder works, why can't you play the tape back? This is a twist that reframes everything. The researchers realize that if the memories are being encoded but adults can't access them, then infantile amnesia isn't a problem of storage. It's a problem of retrieval. Think of it like a library where the books are all still on the shelves, but someone threw out the catalog. The information is physically there. You just have no way to find it. No index, no call number, no path back to it. And this isn't just a theory anymore. In follow-up work, the same team started showing slightly older kids home video clips filmed from their own point of view as babies. The early results hint that those memories might actually survive into preschool age, and only then fade out of reach. The memories don't vanish at the moment they are made. They linger, and then, somewhere along the way, the door to them quietly closes. So what closes it? Here's a leading suspect, and it's beautifully strange. Your infant brain is not a finished structure. It's a construction site, and one part in particular, the hippocampus, is growing new neurons at a furious rate, faster than at any other time in your life. This process is called neurogenesis. Now, you'd think more brain cells means better memory, but scientists like Frankland have proposed the opposite. When you cram a flood of brand new neurons into the circuit that holds your memories, you don't just add capacity, you rewire the existing connections. You disturb the patterns that were already there. In a sense, the very growth that's making you smarter is bulldozing the roads that lead back to your earliest memories. The baby's brain is so busy building itself that it paves right over its own past. The memory may still be encoded somewhere in the structure, but the route to reach it has been demolished by the construction. That's the haunting possibility the new research points to. You didn't fail to record your childhood. Your growing brain buried it. There's a second reason those years are so hard to reach, and it's about something you didn't have yet: words and a self. The memories you can recall as an adult are mostly autobiographical. They're stories. I did this. I was there. This happened to me. That structure needs two things a baby doesn't have: language to encode the experience in, and a stable sense of "I for it to happen to." A 1-year-old is having vivid experiences, but they have almost no words to file them under and only the faintest sense of being a continuous person across time. So even the memories that form are stored in a format your adult mind can barely read, like files saved by software that no longer exists. This is why the wall tends to lift around age 3 or 4. That's exactly when language explodes and a real sense of self snaps into place. Suddenly your brain has a filing system, a narrator, a you for things to happen to. And from roughly that point on, the record sticks. Your continuous life story begins, not because your brain started recording, but because it finally started recording in a language you could one day read back. So here's where all of this leaves us. Somewhere in the first years of your life, you were a person having the most intense experiences you would ever have. Everything was new. Every face was a discovery. Every color, every sound, every moment of being lifted up and held was happening to you for the very first time, with nothing dulled by familiarity. And the people who were there for it, who fed you at 3 a.m., who watched you take your first step, who saw the exact moment you first laughed, they remember it. Some of them remember it as the best days of their lives. You were the only one in the room who would never get to keep it. But the new science leaves one small, strange light on. Those memories may not be gone. They may still be in there, encoded, buried on the brain you had become, sitting behind a door whose key you simply lost. You can't open it. You probably never will. But somewhere in the architecture of your own mind, the very first time someone you loved smiled at you might still exist, perfectly recorded, never erased, waiting in a room you can no longer find. You spent your whole life thinking those years were blank. It turns out you just can't get back in.